Hey guys, what is up? This is Yaji here, and today I'm here to talk about the death of Reforging and the death of iLevel and kind of the negative impacts it has on the game. I usually try to keep my videos pretty positive. I'm not really a big fan of Debbie Downers. Probably shouldn't make that joke now. You know you know what I'm talking about. So, I try to keep videos positive because I don't think it's a good idea to keep people negative. Like, I'm here to make a video to inform you, and there's no reason for me to worsen your mood. If you want to play the game, you don't want to hear negative bullshit about the game. But however this is negative, it's not exactly bullshit. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about this a little bit more as a global scale before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty and break it down. So let's talk about the way that people play the game. I think we're back up to like 12 million subs. I've heard that they have the highest subs on record or something right now. I'm not exactly sure. That's all hearsay, but it's more than Miss Pandaria. So we're talking like 8 to possibly 13 million people playing this game right now. So obviously, people are going to play this game a million different ways. So let's kind of talk about generics, because I don't want to get too specific here just yet. So you're getting it into very, very, very generic things. We're going to talk about like casuals, your middle-of-the-road people, and your hardcore. And just kind of like, I mean, you have to remember that WoW involves real people playing this game. It's a fake game. I didn't hit my microphone. But it's real people. So understand that like real-world aspects kind of apply to this. And generally, you're going to find most of the people are kind of like in the middle. Like, you got your casuals, like, they don't really care at all, and then you have your hardcores. And let's not just call everyone who's not hardcore casual, because that's asinine, right? I said it, okay? I said it. Don't be toxic. So what Reforging was able to do is, like, if you got a piece, you were able to change all your stat priority on that piece or whatever and make it usable for whatever you would need. And what we saw in Miss Pandaria is that secondary stats became extremely important, like really, really important. Not quite as important as your primary stat, but pretty close. Closer than it's ever been. And since WoD release, we've seen that get even closer. So because of this, we've actually, without Reforging, we've actually seen the death of iLevel, which is kind of strange. But for those of you who've been paying really close attention, we've kind of seen a little bit of that in MoP as well, seeing how PvP iLevel does not equate to PvP iLevel, or PvP iLevel does not equate to PvE iLevel. Why are they so similar? So again, we're going to be talking about the bulk of the people, because I assume that a lot of people play this way. I don't really know. Again, assume. I know. Don't make that joke. You know, ass out of you. I don't care. Understand? I'm saying I know English, and when I say assume, I know what it means. Okay, so I'm assuming that most people play in this middle bracket. Okay, let's just call them regular people. So what they've done is that without this Reforging, we're not able to change our pieces. So that if you want to have a stat priority, you have to pick the right piece of gear. Now that kind of works in PvP. We'll talk about that a little bit later, because you buy your gear. But it doesn't work in PvE. So how do you choose your stat priority in PvE if you don't have Reforging? Or gems, or like limited gems and limited enchants. So how do you really choose your stat priority? And the thing is, the only way to choose your stat priority is to pick what gear you have. I'm like, okay, well that's not bad. I can work with that. But how do you get more gear in PvE? Play a lot. That's it. That's it. You just have to play your tune till the end of time to get the gear that you want. RNG is going to let you know whether you're going to have it quickly or it's going to take a long time. You don't really get to choose. It's all up to RNG, and the only way to counter RNG is to put a lot of time into the game. So that's something that is immediately very upsetting. So what that means is that people who care about their stat priority but don't want to play the game a lot don't really get to choose. So like you're kind of cutting off this huge middle section. So let's go back to the casual, regular, heroic, hardcore people, right? Like, so only the heroic, hardcore people who play this game like 40, 60 hours a week get to choose what their stat priority is. And that's kind of fucked up. But you know the people who don't really care about their stat priority are the casuals. People who just kind of show up, just enjoy LFR, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Don't be toxic, please. There's nothing wrong with being casual. So, like, they're just going to show up, they're going to do the LFRs, they're going to think they're down the boss, and they're going to feel accomplished, they're enjoying the game their own way. They don't care about their stat priority. But who who else plays the game that cares about their stat priority and doesn't want to play for 40 hours a week? I would assume that's a lot of people. And the problem is that you don't get to choose. They've taken away this right. This thing that we've assumed was a right, but it was a privilege. And they've just taken it away. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I don't want to be mad. But this game is just ruining the non-casual, non-hardcore experience. And it's a little bit depressing. But what it's done is it's forced these people who don't want to play the game forever to just accept it and pull mediocre DPS numbers. But here's the thing. So now let's talk about it in a little bit more of a specific sense. The real world, the Azeroth implications, if you will. So, I know this is probably already pretty lengthy and some of you are already really bored, and if you've left, well, you know, fuck you. You're not here anymore, so, oh well. So, here's the thing. If you're a raid leader, or someone who wants to, like, let's just, you know, it's a raid leader. We'll just kind of, you broaden the aspect now that you have your pre-made group finder, you know? I don't even know what it is. H? Yeah. So, like, you over here, now, let's actually start a group. Now I'm a raid leader, okay? So this is what I mean by raid leader. A very broad sense of the word raid leader. 1 second. Cheers. So, if I'm a raid leader, and we're having some trouble downing this boss, and we need more DPS, how do I go about solving this issue? And this was really the part where eye level is dead. So, I need to have a certain amount of DPS for this fight. Otherwise, we're going to wipe again. And for anyone who's been in a pug like this before, you're going to be very familiar with this. If you wipe again, the people with the good DPS, the good people, are going to leave. They're just going to be like, fuck this, I'm better than you, I'm leaving. And, you know, that's a shitty attitude, and I don't want to say it's okay, but again, I'm not really that much of a judgmental person. You know, they should play the game the way they want to. So, I don't really hate on them too much for that either. But, I mean, hey, I'm pacifist, I guess. I don't know. Make love, not war, bro. I think there's an ice cream truck outside. There's snow on the ground and there's an ice cream truck outside. I live in a strange place. Actually, I just ran out of time. I can't do this. I will come back to this video and maybe with a little bit better of a plan, because I know I've been kind of rambly. Welcome back, guys. Let's move this over here. It's going to be a little bit harder to just jump back in right exactly where I was. So forgive me for if I kind of duplicate myself a little bit and repeat myself. Words are hard. So this is what we're going to be talking about with eye level. Eye level being dead, and as a raid leader, how you're going to try to fix this issue. So I think before, when I was getting kind of rambly, I didn't really kind of give you a direct sense when I started talking about it. So let's kind of start the eye level thing over again. So as a raid leader, I have this raid that's been wiping. People have left or had to leave, or I kicked them or whatever. I need to find new people. And the issue is we're wiping to this boss because DPS isn't high enough. It is going to be true for a lot of fights. Not because there's a lot of short Zerk timers, but just because you want to hit certain phases, otherwise healers are going to be completely drained. So, just the way that the fights are now, DPS requirements are actually quite important, even without Zerk timers, which is something kind of new and refreshing and nice, whatever. So I have this group finder thing, and then, you know, I'm sure if you guys have been in groups like this before, you've had assist, you've heard little ping, and it gets annoying as all hell. It's just like, bing, yeah. You're just trying to find new people, right? So these people show up, and generally when you have them in a group, I don't want to post a fake group, so I can't really show you right now, because that would be very ingenuine and wrong. It would be kind of fun, though. But I'm not here to troll people right now. I really want to better your experience in this game right now. So again, I'm trying to find a certain amount of DPS, and I know that generally I'm looking for a certain amount of eye level, or that's what you would assume that you're looking for. But when you look through these people, their eye level is going to show up, and it's also going to show you their DPS or heal ranking inside the challenge modes, right? Gold, silver, bronze, whatever. I actually don't think they can even queue with bronze, but yeah, I don't know. So here's the thing, is that eye level is really not that important anymore. So if you're just going to go spam your eye level and try to get, like, oh, this piece has one more eye level, it's clearly better. It's actually not true at all. And I don't want to get into the intense testing that I've done here. I'll do that in another video, I'm sure. What I can tell you is that eye level is not the best way to increase your DPS anymore. So eye level, what does it mean? What is it good for? War, right? So this is something that's really quite perplexing to me, and as a raid leader, someone who doesn't raid casually or hardcore, just kind of right in the middle, but I wanted down bosses, although I don't really care that much. It's a long story. I'm in a weird situation. I PvP and I PvE, guys. I'm sorry. I know, all the hate, right? I don't have time to do both on a hardcore level anymore. Hardcore PvP may be in my past, maybe it's coming up in my future. We'll see about that. Stay tuned for other videos, fans of the channel. So anyway, I'm getting rambly again. So let's bring this back on focus. So I need to find a certain DPS requirement, but I'm looking with eye level. It's impossible to find. You can't know anymore. So let's talk about my gear really quick without getting kind of too intricate. I actually just got this one today from a follow request, so we're just kind of going to ignore this one. Yeah, just don't worry about it. So what I actually had before is I started with my PvP trinkets, because those are the only ones I've ever gotten. I haven't gotten any like trinkets out of a dungeon. These are actually all follow request trinkets. And they're actually much better than the PvP ones, just because of eye level. But I mean, granted, that's like, I mean, these are generally 615. I was rocking 2 615s before, and it's 5 eye level worse. That's not really that big a deal, right? But it's still kind of cluing you into the fact that eye level is dead. And here's another thing that's really weird, is this spirit trinket was actually better for my boomkin DPS, and as you can see, let's get to spirit, I gain no benefit from this stat. The spirit trinket was actually better for me than having one of these PvP trinkets on, and it was a lower eye level. And again, you're just going to have to trust me on this one. I wanted to try to move stuff so you could see my DPS, but I don't want to do any testing right now. And what it means is that these lower eye level trinkets, these actually 600 trinket is actually very close in DPS to this 651 trinket. So let me move my camera a little bit because it's right in my way. Of course it has to be, right? I know, now everything's going to be messed up and be pissed. So this gives me like 190 intellect, 190 crit, right? And let's just do the math real quick here. This gives me 800 crit for 15 seconds and a 1 minute and 30 second cooldown. So what that means is there's going to be 5 intervals. Like, so let's count this out. There's 15 seconds out of 130 seconds. It goes on cooldown the second you use it. So 15 out of 90 is going to be 6, but there's technically only 5 intervals because one of them is 5 intervals of downtime, because one of them is going to be filled with 800 crit. So this means I'm actually getting about 130 crit all the time from this trinket, but I get it at very specific times, so it's going to be very good because I'm a boomkin. Trust me. Now that's actually, so it's basically 130 trinket, or 130 crit versus 190 crit. That's not that big of a difference. It's only 60 crit. I mean, granted, 100 intellect is a pretty big difference. We're generalizing here, rounding up. But 60 crit really isn't. And this is actually better for me than this trinket because I can use it with my cooldowns. And boomkins are very cooldown based right now. So this 600 trinket is actually better than this 651 trinket. But why do I have both on? Because they're both better than these trinkets individually. What we're talking about here is how secondary stats are so important that it doesn't matter how much eye level you have. So actually, yeah, I'm probably going to cut most of that out. So expect a jump cut. I'm sorry. I just got way too technical even though I said I didn't want to. Basically, what this means is why eye level is dead is because you can have a 630 piece or a 666 or 651 piece. Well, let's just stick to these right now. You can have a 615 piece and a 600 piece, and this is better for your DPS because it has better stats than this. So just because it has like more eye level, if it doesn't have crit or mastery on it, then I don't really want it. Like if it has haste versatility is my absolute worst stat by a lot, then, and it has a higher eye level, then it's worse. It's worse for my DPS. So you can no longer trust eye level as a good measure for DPS. Sure, you can trust gold and silver and bronze or whatever for them being good players, But it doesn't mean that they even know about this. This is something that not a lot of people know about, which is exactly why I wanted to make a video about it, because it's really the only way that I can increase people's DPS. And again, this falls back to the Azeroth implications, right? It's so weird to say. I'm such a nerd. Oh, what am I doing with my life? Oh, anyway, so what it means as a raid leader is if you're looking for a certain amount of DPS, you can only see their eye level, which doesn't represent DPS anymore. And you can see what their DPS ranking is in the challenge or the proving grounds or whatever. And that's great. It shows they're a good player, but it doesn't mean that their DPS is the DPS that you want. It has no specific relation to how much DPS they actually pull. It just tells you whether they're a good player or not. And eye level should tell you or give you an idea of what their DPS should be, so you can expect that. But it never means that it is, but it gives you a pretty good idea of what it should be. But you can't trust it anymore, because I could actually have a way higher eye level. Oh my god, can I talk today? I would have a way higher eye level if I got a trinket, a 630 trinket, that just gave me really terrible stats, which are the ones that I had before. I had some heroic trinkets, but it was haste and versatility, and those are worthless to me. So it's much better to have this trinket than to have that. And I'm sure that's killing my eye level. And I mean, we're only talking about 2 pieces here, but this could apply to all my pieces. So, for instance, this actually applies to my raid leader. He's playing a Windwalker monk, and multi-strike is their most important stat by a lot. And then second is really far behind, and, you know, second to fourth are pretty close, and then fifth is really far behind as well. So, I mean, I think it's like, I don't remember. It's multi-strike, and then I think mastery is their worst one, but the other ones are pretty close to each other. But he has 226 multi-strike. He only has like 2 pieces of multi-strike on it. So his DPS is awful, just because he doesn't have enough time to play the game and go to school and work. And it's one of these things he's actually re-rolling, and we're not going to talk about that, but the whole point is that his eye level is way higher than mine, and his DPS is way lower than mine, just because I've gotten better luck at getting the gear that I want. So, again, we play the game about the same amount of time. We just had RNG was more in my favor than his. So it's one of these things, and I know he's a competent player. Sorry, I know I keep jumping in. He's a competent player. He's one who taught me how to play, and we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about who's better now or whatever. But he's the one who got me into this intellectual style of play. So I guess I know I've kind of really already said everything that I had to say. And in summary, all I can really say is that because Reforging is dead, eye level is really fucking dead. It's like dead. Dead. And I don't know, like, the reason why it's a rage video is there's not really a solution. I'm sorry. It's just a problem. And I feel really shitty. So I like to make guides because I want people who want to play the game better, I want them to be able to do so. And that makes me happy when I get all these PMs, and all you guys are great. I love you guys, and I'm so happy that you guys are doing great. I love all the success stories. I love all of you. And I want that. Like, I want people who want to play the game better. I want them to play the game better. And here, I'm just bringing to you a problem and no solution. And I feel really bad about it, and that's why I'm mad. That's why I'm mad. So, good luck. Cheers. And how about another one for our good friends, Reforging and eye level. Peace out, guys.